morning and welcome to our April 22nd, 2025 Board of County Commission meeting. Please join us for the invocation by Reverend Victor Gomez from the Higher Purpose Pentecostal Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be given by Bill Bergstresser. Good morning.
Good morning, all. Let's bow our heads and ask God to bless this meeting. Father, we love you. We thank you for your presence. We love you for what you're about to do in this place. Take all the hearts in this place and make it one, that you make the choices that we bring to you in this committee. Bless it in Jesus' name, we ask, and bless every person that makes these decisions for the community, our commissioners. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Mr. Bergstresser?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And you are an Air Force veteran. Tell us a bit about your service, please.
Okay, well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Just after the Gulf War ended in the early 90s, I entered the United States Air Force at age 22. This was in 1992. My goal was to fly airplanes, and I had family members that were pilots. I had family members that were involved with jet aircraft. It was amazing to me, so that was my goal. I got in as an enlistee, and was chosen to work on F-16s. You'd have to go to a lot of schooling in order to fly, so I was going to go to school and work on F-16s, which is a Air Force fighter jet. I ended up not having enough time for the school, and also realized that I was nowhere near as competitive as all the fighter pilots that I worked for. So I worked on F-16s for 4 years in the military. Got a ton of stories. Some are fun, some are not so fun. I'd like to just tell one that my mom seems to like, because she tells all her friends. So I'm born and raised here in Martin County. I actually happened to be born in Fort Pierce because my family doctor was up in Fort Pierce at the time. But never really got out of the state often, and so I didn't know what fall was. I knew palm trees and oak trees. That's about all I know. And one morning I'm sitting on a flight line, now a young airman, sitting on a flight line watching the F-16s start up and get ready to go out for practice missions. And between me and the flight line is a nice row of trees, and I'm stationed in South Carolina at the time. And the trees, the color of the leaves were amazing to me. And one of the jet aircraft, during its testing before its flight, ran up to 80% thrust and blew all the leaves off the tree right in front of me. And so it was my first experience with fall.
Instant fall.
Yeah. On the other end of the spectrum, at the end of my service, my last year of my first 4 years, I was to make a decision whether or not I wanted to continue on and re-enlist for another 4 years. And I was riding the fence on that. I had some other ideas of what I wanted to do in life, and working on aircraft wasn't really high on the list anymore for me. I'd lost hearing because of being close to jet aircraft, and I kind of wanted to build. That was kind of, I had a desire to build homes and other buildings. And so I was out in Saudi Arabia in Operation Southern Watch, which was where the United States had the task of patrolling the 42nd parallel, making sure that Iraq is no longer advancing south towards Kuwait. So I'm in Saudi Arabia working on jets. And one evening I was to go on shift. I was working a night shift, and I was sitting on a couch with 3 of my fellow airmen. We were in very nice buildings that Saudi Arabia put us up in. They were called Khobar Towers. I was on the 3rd floor. We had 8-foot tall sliding glass doors with a balcony overlooking a big new mosque, and then in the background, the Persian Gulf. It was quite the scene. While I was sitting there with these other individuals, I felt my face and realized I'd forgotten to shave. So I got up from the couch and I walked back into a bathroom to shave, and the building shook from under me. I fell to the ground, realized we had what felt like a missile had hit the building, but actually 200 feet away, there was a terrorist bombing. And so kind of helped make my decision. It was a frightening event. I had to offer a lot of first aid to people out in a parking lot. 19 people died in this particular bombing, and again, I guess that's what settled my my decisions for not staying in any longer in the Air Force. So those are my two stories.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
We have a number of presets today. At 9:05, we'll hear public comment. 9:30, we'll hear the Business Development Board's annual report. At 1:30, we will hear contracts that meet the threshold for board approval of $1 million or greater. At 5:05, we will hear from the public. There are no additional items. Commissioners, can we approve the regular agenda minus the consent agenda? Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes. I will move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Now we'll begin our proclamations. The first proclamation is Hurricane Preparedness Week.
The 2025 hurricane season begins on June 1st, and as a coastal county, Martin County is extremely vulnerable to storm surge, tornadoes, flooding, and high winds. Whether hurricane forecasters have predicted an average, above average, or below average season, it takes only one storm to have a bad year. In recognition of Hurricane Preparedness Week, May 4th through 10th, the board urges the cooperation of municipalities, businesses, homeowners and condominium associations, hotel associations, and all media to help inform residents and visitors of appropriate awareness, preparedness, and safety measures related to hurricane season. And here to accept, we have Amy Heimberger Lopez, who is our Deputy Emergency Management Director.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Donaldson, Ms. Woods. As we observe Hurricane Preparedness Week in May 4th to 10th, it is crucial for both our Board of County Commissioners and also our residents of Martin County to reflect on the importance of readiness before the next storm threatens our community. The 2024 hurricane season serves as a reminder that early preparation saves lives and protects property. Our emergency management team is working diligently to enhance response plans, strengthen community partnerships, and ensure resources are in place to support the residents before, during, and after a storm. However, preparedness is a shared responsibility, and we encourage every household and business to take proactive steps, such as reviewing evacuation routes, assembling emergency kits, and staying informed through official alerts. We ask for the support of our county leaders in reinforcing the importance of these efforts by promoting preparedness initiatives and ensuring our communities have the resources needed to withstand future storms. Investments in resilient infrastructure, public awareness campaigns, and emergency response capabilities are essential for safeguarding lives and property. As we move forward, let us work together to foster a culture of preparedness, resilience, and swift recovery, making Martin County a model for hurricane readiness. By taking action now, we can reduce risks and emerge stronger from any storm that comes our way. It is our privilege and pleasure to serve the board and our community. So on behalf of your emergency management team, we thank you all and appreciate your support as we head into yet another above normal predicted season. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Join us, team. Our next proclamation is a proclamation declaring Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Martin County, Florida.
April is recognized as Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and this observance calls attention to the fact that sexual violence is a widespread public health problem. Every day, too many women, men, and children across our state suffer the pain and trauma of sexual assault in all its forms. At every level, we must work to provide necessary resources to survivors of sexual assault without judgment and with dignity, including medical attention, mental health services, relocation and housing assistance, and advocacy during the criminal justice process. And here to accept from board members from the Inner Truth Project, we have Carrie Norbrotten and Marshall Dees.
There she is. Yeah, right? On her talent is not as glamorous as it used to be.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Marshall Dees, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors for the Inner Truth Project. On behalf of the Inner Truth Project, its staff, board members, and most importantly, our survivors, we are honored to receive this proclamation from the Martin County Board of Commissioners. Founded 12 years ago by Mindy Fetterman, the Inner Truth Project was established to serve individuals affected by the direct and indirect consequences of sexual violence and abuse. Since our inception, we have provided counseling and other services to hundreds of survivors, helping them embark on the journey to reclaim their power. As a former law enforcement officer, I have witnessed firsthand the devastating effects experienced by survivors, and I am privileged to be part of such a transformative organization. The recognition of the Inner Truth Project's efforts through this proclamation brings much-needed awareness to an often unspoken and underreported issue. So we thank you.
Thank you.
Our next proclamation is a proclamation declaring Earth Day in Martin County.
Today, April 22nd, marks Earth Day, a global observance highlighting the need to protect the Earth's ecosystems, which span 510 million square kilometers and support millions of species. Sustained efforts by residents and organizations can preserve these resources, ensuring their ecological and economic value endures for future generations. Earth Day provides an opportunity to celebrate Martin County's commitment to green initiatives, such as expanding stormwater treatment areas, promoting native plantings, and fostering community engagement and conservation. And here to accept, I think y'all know this gentleman, we have Mark Perry, Executive Director and CEO of the Florida Oceanographic Society.
I've got a handout for you, and as they say, is a picture's worth 1,000 words, so I only have 50 words to say. So, but thank you, Commissioners and Martin County, for recognizing this important day in which we celebrate back in 1970 when we started. But it's a special day, and the photo that I'm passing out to you here is a NASA Apollo 17 photo taken about 125,000 miles above the Earth, 1972 in December. It's a beautiful photo of our Earth, and it really shows. So the 8-inch diameter sphere that you're holding here, if we put that into scale of 1 inch equals 1,000 miles, that would put our moon at about 20 feet away, only about 2 inches in diameter, like a tennis ball. And then our sun would be about 72 feet in diameter, and it'd be about 1.5 miles away. So just kind of give you a little scale. And as you can see by the swirling clouds above in the atmosphere, we're moving rather rapidly. You know, the Earth is rotating at about 1,000 miles an hour, and we're also orbiting around the sun at about 67,000 miles an hour. But it's the 197 million square miles that we just stated that are on our surface. And out of that, of course, 71% is in ocean and water coverage. That's why it looks like a blue planet. And it is. And it's 140 million square miles, and it's a big area, but it's also volume. It's about 321 million cubic miles of volume, one of the largest living spaces here on Earth. Our atmosphere above it is very thin. In fact, if I took this paper and wrapped it around that 8-inch sphere, that's about how thick our atmosphere is. It's a volume of about 5 million cubic miles. 78% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, and 1% water vapor. That's all those clouds that you see swirling around and things always in motion and energy. It's 62 miles up in space. It goes up, and then we reach space. But the big mass of the atmosphere, of course, is right here near the surface, only about 6.8 miles above. And that's where we get all that energy moving around. Of course, we've caused a lot of change in our climate. The levels of CO2 back in 1970, when I started working on this, was 325 parts per million, and now in 25, they're up to 430 parts per million. That's a higher concentration continuously of carbon dioxide. What does that mean? Of course, you've heard about climate change results, global warming, thermal expansion of our ocean is causing sea level rise, and ocean acidification. All that carbon dioxide sequestered in the ocean is getting oversaturated, and that ocean acidification is dissolving all the shells that we normally think of. So what we need to do is just respect our planet. It's all about what we do on those 57 million square miles of land that impacts the 140 million square miles of water. And Martin County has done a tremendous job right here, right on the coast, to help do that and protect our planet. So I appreciate everything you do to respect our Earth. Thank you. All right.
If you look really close, you can see Katy Perry. I was going to say it louder, but then I figured his name is Mark Perry. It gets confusing. That's what I'm thinking about.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wait, there's more.
And our next proclamation is a proclamation declaring Historic Preservation Month in Martin County, Florida.
Historic preservation is an effective tool for revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character. Historic preservation plays an important role in our lives, helping to preserve the tangible access of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. The Martin County Historic Preservation Board has planned events throughout the month of May to increase awareness and public participation in historic preservation in order to save our local treasures. In recognition of Historic Preservation Month, the board calls upon the people of Martin County to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. And here's our Historic Preservation Board Chair, Evan Anderson.
Thank you. Good morning, Evan Anderson with the Historic Preservation Board. I'm the current chair, and I'm pleased to be here this morning. The Board of County Commissioners will declare the month of May is Historic Preservation Month in Martin County. We'll be celebrating along with the rest of the country. It's actually, May has been designated nationally as Historic Preservation Month, and thanks to you guys, we're doing the same. We will also be commemorating and celebrating Martin County's centennial anniversary, which takes place this year, 100 years. We're lucky to live in a county where our elected officials have recognized the importance of historic preservation. Thank you. To our quality of life. In 2003, the Martin County Board of Commissioners adopted its Historic Preservation Ordinance that created a Historic Preservation Board, which I sit on, and a designation process to place buildings more than 50 years old on the Martin County Register of Historic Places. Another duty of the board is promoting an awareness of the benefits of historic preservation to the community. For the past 17 years, the Martin County Historic Preservation Board has coordinated Historic Preservation Month as an important means of accomplishing this goal. 2008 was the first year that the board coordinated Historic Preservation Week, which grew to a month after that. They coordinated activities with its partners in preservation, including the City of Stewart and many of the organizations that are participating this May. Each year, community support for Historic Preservation Month and historic preservation has grown stronger. In 2008, the schedule listed a mere 6 events, all planned by the board. In 2019, the year before COVID hit, there were 40 events on the calendar. 2020, it had to be canceled due to COVID. Here we are, 2025. We have 33 separate events listed on the schedule of events, which looks something like this, but in color. And you can find that at 20 different locations around the county. You can also go onto the county's website and find a list of those events and where they're going to occur. It was the board's hope when it started celebrating this very special month that through public education about our historic treasures, a preservation ethic would take root in Martin County. This year's 2025 schedule of events, planned by a diversity of organizations, shows that a preservation ethic has indeed taken root. 2025 is a very special year in that we are celebrating the Martin County Centennial. Martin County was created in 1925. Historic preservation is an important element of Martin County's quality of life. Historic preservation preserves valuable local history. Through its preservation program, Martin County has preserved and placed on its local register of historic places valuable historic treasures such as the Salerno Colored School, the House of Refuge, the Mansion at Tuckahoe, the Log Cabin, and the Captain Sewell House for future generations to enjoy. Historic preservation is important not only to what Southerners refer to as our sense of place, but to our economy. A 2010 University of Florida report, Economic Impacts of Historic Preservation in Florida, says, historic preservation activities in Florida contribute some $6.3 billion annually to the state. Heritage tourism is a great way to bring tourists and visitors to Martin County. According to a 2021 report, Preserving Florida Heritage, more than 6 out of 10 visitors to our state participate in heritage tourism in some form or fashion, knowingly or unknowingly. And those that do participate stay longer and they spend more money. The board invites you to join us at the Stewart Heritage Museum, 5 o'clock, May the 1st, as we join our partners in preservation, Stewart Heritage, the City of Stewart, and others, to celebrate the kickoff for our Historic Preservation Month, 2025, and commemorate the Martin County Centennial. We also invite you to join us at the Elliott Museum on May 15th, when our board will honor the 2025 Preservationist of the Year. The board wants to thank our partners who are participating in this very special month. We look forward to working with you as we celebrate both Historic Preservation Month 2025 and our 100th anniversary. Thank you.
Thank you. She is? I was wondering. Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. We'll take up public comments now. Our first speaker will be Willis Milner. Following Mr. Milner will be Bill Miller.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak with you today. Willis Milner is my name. I like to say that I've been a permanent resident of Martin County, had the good sense to move here in 1999, so I've been here for quite a while. Moved on to Glen Ridge Trail, bought a house on Glen Ridge Trail. Hurricane Francis and Jean took care of that, so we built a brand new house there at the end of the circle there. So there's a circle at the end of the road, and For years, we would put our yard debris down there, which only makes perfect sense to do. However, I learned now, and we know now that there's a rule against it, and so we don't do that anymore. Now, a sign popped up. Now, I'm not talking about a small sign. I'm talking about a 9-foot sign with a big old white thing at the top that talks about being fined $5,000 if you put yard debris into the circle or any other garbage there. Of course, nobody's ever put any garbage there. And so I went on the website to I'm not going to use the word complain, to make my concerns known, and the field operations folks came out and put notices on mailboxes saying, please don't do this anymore, neighbors. And of course, the neighbors and I have not done that since then. And they removed the sign, which was, and by the way, your field operations folks are super, very, very, very good, efficient, and so forth. So I thought it was over with, and now the sign is back. And I'm asking you folks to please, consider. Commissioner Hurd, you go by our street every day on your way home. If you want to go down there and look at what this thing, which I understand could be obviously a rural county sign to keep people from putting trash there, which I doubt works, but it works for us. We're not putting debris there anymore, and I want the sign removed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Bill Miller is next, followed by Linda St. Julian.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thanks for the opportunity to present today to you. My name is Bill Miller, and my family and I live in the Cobblestone community. 1268 Southwest Squire Johns Lane is our address. We've been there for the greater part of 10 years and Martin County residents since 2011. And I'm a native Floridian, born and raised in the state. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with the board today about my strong support for the proposed fire station project on the western side of the county on Martin Highway close to I-95. The fire station project is long overdue and essential to the safety and well-being of our residents, I believe. Our community has experienced multiple total loss home fires in recent years. In addition to serious unwanted forest fires that required mandatory evacuations of our community and multiple day fire responses. As our county grows and as areas around us grow, emergency response needs on the Turnpike, I-95, Martin Highway are creating even more demand for the fire station that currently serves western Martin County. Fire stations are often the hub of communities and provide a sense of security, community pride, and identity, intangibles that help to uplift and broaden our sense of value for our community and evokes a commitment that we care about our well-being and safety. These are examples, I believe, of taxpayer dollars going to a purpose that uplifts the community and shows a commitment to the people. The needs have outgrown the services provided, and now is the time to take action to approve the fire station project and ensure that all residents of our county receive the protection and emergency response services that we pay for and deserve. Thank you for your consideration, and please vote to approve the additional fire station. Thank you.
Thank you.
CCTV is frozen.
Linda St. Julian is next, followed by John Seymour. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Linda St. Julian, and today is actually my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you all.
What would you like for your birthday?
Thank you. Thank you.
What would you like for your birthday?
A new fire station.
Well, how about it?
While birthdays are usually spent celebrating, and of course the day is still young, I've chosen to be here with you because I believe so strongly in the importance of ensuring the safety of our community. I've lived in Stuart West for 24 years. In that time, I've witnessed firsthand several house fires in both Stuart West and Cobblestone, and just within the past month, 2 brush fires in less than 20 days. You may recall the brush fires in 2024 that spread over 100 acres next to Stuart West, where evacuation looked imminent. Our current fire rescue station is at least 15 to 20 minutes away, and that's when they can get drivers to cooperate to let them through on Martin Highway. Commissioners, every minute matters, especially when lives and homes are on the line. We simply cannot continue to gamble with response times this long. As you know, your recent county study clearly highlighted a dangerous gap in fire rescue coverage for Western Palm City. The need is unmistakable. Fortunately, we now have an extraordinary opportunity. Ashley Capital, the developer behind the Martin Commerce Park project, directly across from our community, has been actively engaged with Martin County Fire Rescue. They are willing to donate land as part of the public benefit component required for their project's final approval later this year. Accepting this donation would greatly reduce costs for taxpayers, particularly at a time when expenses related to land acquisition, building construction, and fire equipment are dramatically rising. This is an immediate solution to a dire problem. As taxpayers and as your constituents, we ask you to recognize and act upon the very real dangers we face daily. You've seen the study, you've witnessed the rapid development, and now you have the land practically gifted to you. There is simply no reason to delay. Please prioritize funding in your budget for a new fire station in Western Palm City. We trust you'll put public safety first and make the responsible decision for our community. Thank you all for your consideration.
John Seymour is next, followed by Cornelis Pamagier.
Good morning. My name is John Seymour. I'm also a resident of Cobblestone. Have been there for over 20 years, arriving just in time for Francis and Jean. Notwithstanding that nice welcome from Minnesota, I stayed. And also would like to ask that you consider, and I endorse the idea of the new fire station on 714. I think I'm not going to be as eloquent as the previous speakers, so I'll try to be shorter. I just note that, as has been mentioned, there have been 3 total lost fires in our communities in the recent years. Thank goodness there haven't been any fatalities associated with those, and I would urge that we take immediate action to reduce response times and build a new fire station and not wait until after we have had a fatality due to those delayed response times. Thank you very much.
Cornelis Pamagier, if I've mispronounced your name, forgive me.
Very close. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Cornelis Pamier. I was elected president of the Steward Board of Directors, and one of the issues that I noticed when I did my campaign was the need and the absolute worry about not having a fire station nearby. I know all of you are very busy. I hope that during the Easter weekend you were able to pick up a short clip that the TV aired. They neglected to tell you that there were only 3 brush fires. There were 3 house fires in 2.5 years. 2 houses were completely destroyed. The 3rd one was partially destroyed. Had the response time been within normal limits, let's say 10 minutes, 12 minutes, those houses may have been saved. They were not, because the fire station, the nearest we have, is at Map Road. And traffic on 714, as you have all experienced, is not the easiest traffic, not even for an emergency vehicle or a fire truck. We are taxpayers. We choose to live in an isolated area, I admit that. Yet, we ask that you consider a fire station in view of the continued expansion west coming from Palm City. We've been here 6 years, and the change in 6 years has been tremendous. I did not think when we moved in here that things would develop so rapidly, but they have. As taxpayers, I came up with a rough estimate that we contribute perhaps $6 to $8 million. So I'm asking you, would you consider allocating perhaps half of that money to get started with a fire station, surveying, determining the suitability of the land that has been made available by Ashley Capital, and then we come back to you next year. I'll be off your back for a year, and I have a year to prepare my 3-minute speech next year for more money. I would be very pleased if you would look at it. Of course, I could ask for the full 11 or 13 million dollars, but I approach it very carefully. I understand you have obligations to other people, other projects. I just humbly ask, please look carefully into the need that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Mazzota is next, followed by Tom Pine. Tammy Mazzota is next, followed by Tom Pine.
Could not hear you over all the applauding. Tammy Mazzota here. Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to take a minute to address all of you today and ask you if during today and later today and beyond today, if you could all take a few minutes and reflect on yourselves and your positions here at the commissions. Maybe ask yourselves if you're upholding your oath to the communities and doing your best for your community, or are you doing what's best for you individually and maybe a handful of people? Are you listening to your community? Are you trying to help your community? And and are you being true to yourself and the community also? Are you being transparent? Are you being sincere? Or are you being selfish or detrimental to the community? I'm not here making any accusations. I'm just asking you all to reflect upon the choices that you're making for your communities and your districts. And I'm asking you to reflect on the support for each one of you, supporting each other. If you really, truly feel that the decisions are the best for your communities, or are they getting you the next commissioner's vote for the next thing that you want, if that makes sense. I have a lot of confidence in every one of you. I see a lot of good in every one of you, but I'm also seeing things in one specific community that are not okay. The community is not being heard. They're being ignored. Things are not transparent. Things are being hidden. And that's not why you are here. You're here to be transparent. You're here to do your best person, because I believe that each one of you as an individual person are really good people. But when you come up into your actual jobs here, I understand it's not easy. I understand you cannot please everyone. But when you have an entire community asking for transparency and to be heard, and that's not being done, why are you here? Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tom Pine is next, followed by Ken Haynes. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Tom Pine. I've been a resident of Martin County for over 50 years. I presently live in the Jensen Beach area. Today, in the consent agenda, this county commission will approve $18,615,013.27 that was spent between March 24th and April 6th of 2025 without identifying the payees or the purpose of the payments. Democracy dies in darkness. Welcome to Martin County. I have spoken several times about the illegal expansion of runway 1230. How the airport director lied to the county commission at a county commission meeting when he stated there were no homes west of runway 1230 and showed photos to back up his statements. The photos were over 30 years old. The vote by the commissioners were 5-0. At least one, if not more, of the commissioners at the time knew exactly what was happening. Within a few months of that meeting, 2 county commissioners apologized in the Stewart News for being duped into voting for the expansion of runway 1230. The airport director was not disciplined in any way for lying to the public, but got a golden parachute on the taxpayer's back instead for doing exactly what he was hired to do. The original price approved at the county commission meeting for the renovation of our county golf course clubhouse was $5.5 million. The final cost is still a secret because it was all hidden in the consent agenda over a few years. Estimates at least double the $5.5 million. Last week, I was at a meeting with our Jensen Beach Commissioner and the head of the Parks Department, where he gave me another presentation of why the county operates the beachside cafes, and also noted $300,000 in losses at the county golf club restaurant. I was at the meeting when the contract was awarded. One of the good old boys, I guess? Who else but a good old boy wouldn't have to put up a sizable amount of security to operate a restaurant anywhere, even a county facility? $3 million on the taxpayer's back. Good deposit for a firehouse. Thank you.
Thank you. Ken Haynes is next, followed by Rachel or Rochelle Goldman. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ken Haynes. I live in Stewart West, and I'm currently a board member of the Stewart West POA. I haven't spoken here for quite a while. It's been over 10 years. I'm one of the original members of the Martin County Consensus, if any of you remember that group. One of the things that our charter really prioritized was to advocate for responsible growth in the county. And along with the many issues that you have before you, part of responsible growth, in our opinion, would have been things like responsible services. As you know, other people have spoken here this morning. The issue that I've come to talk about is the firehouse as a responsible service to the western side of Palm City. I congratulate you for doing that study, and I think the study, from what I understand, pointed out that there was a lack of response time because of the firehouse right now being located in central Palm City on Map Road. There's been a rash of fires. There are brush fires, as reported, some house fires. And the response time for the last house fire was over 20 minutes till they actually got water on the fire. Imagine if you were sitting outside your home watching it burn, waiting that long. That's a pretty hard pill to swallow. Now, fortunately, Ashley Capital has graciously offered to donate land for this firehouse. So, you know, that should be half of the battle to where to put it, where to locate it. And it sounds like there's at least a tentative plan in place that land would be offered. And, you know, I don't know that we would get that out of too many other commercial businesses or commercial developers. So that's a great thing. Now, the thought that the county commission has in front of them is to decide whether they can approve that and, of course, budget for it. And due to the fact, you know, we've had this real estate boom over the past at least half dozen years, you would think that there'd be some funding available for something like a vital service of a firehouse, a new firehouse in a highly needed area. Facts are, over time, that area out Martin Highway is going to build up, and there's going to be even more need for it than there is now. Canopy Creek is there. They would get service by it. Of course, Stewart West, Cobblestone, Newfield projects coming in. There's going to be vast need for that, and I'm sure the fire station's not going to happen overnight, even if it's funded. So I think, you know, like I said, the responsible growth part, responsible services, it would make just absolute sense for the commission to vote to approve it and to fund it and, you know, take Ashley Capital up on their generous donation. And, you know, I'm sure there's going to be people speaking after me, but please give it some thought. I'm sure this is going to happen over the next few months, whether your approval is yes or no, and I would really urge all 5 of you to help us out in District 5 with that firehouse. Thank you.
Ms. Goldman is next, followed by Rochelle Titko.
Hi, all.
Morning.
This is my first time speaking for y'all.
Welcome.
I'm going to ramble for a couple minutes because I didn't come as prepared as everyone else with my little speech. So, and I'm about to use my phone.
Speak into your microphone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Perfect.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to ramble because I didn't come prepared 100%, okay? So I'm Rachel. I'm a native Floridian. I was born in North Miami Beach. I moved here 10 years ago. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I love Cobblestone Stewart West. Beautiful natural place, but this year definitely prone to brush fires. Some of my friends' homes were involved. We also had the house fires some other folks spoke about. One of them was 2 doors down. I'm watching a fire thinking, wow, I'm about to lose my house. My dad was a firefighter, rescue down south. I know what can happen. It's bad. I have a fire hydrant at the end of my street. Not at the end of my street, I'm sorry, at the end of my driveway, okay? It's useless because by the time firefighters get there, they're saving the foundation of my house. And that's it, because it's just too far away. And like other people have said, 7:14, I was late to this meeting. I came in after it started because I had to come up 7:14. It's a problem. We're about to have a church built at the beginning of Cobblestone Stewart West, the driveway. I don't know if y'all know about that. Well, you must know about it, right? You had to approve it. Imagine what everybody would say if the church burns down. It won't be good. God forbid there's people in the church when there's a fire. That will be worse because it will be bad. What nobody's mentioned yet also is that in Cobblestone Stewart West, we only have basically one access road. In a fire, there's only one way for us to get out, okay? It can burn to the ground, we will be trapped. There is a boat ramp, but we'd all have to go into the canal with the alligators. So you can have fire or you can be eaten alive. Those are your choices there. So it's really, really, really necessary. There's a lot of buildings going up, the industrial center, yada, yada. More risk for fire, more risk for, not just for fire starting, but what we can lose. The church, the industrial community, a lot can go badly wrong. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Is that my buzzer? Is that the egg timer? Okay, I'm done. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Rochelle Titko is next, followed by Deborah Vikotsky. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Rochelle Titko, and my husband Steve and I live in Stewart West. We've been there for approximately 5 years. I'm deeply concerned about the fire response time in our neighborhood, but what's even more alarming is the inadequate ambulance response time. In Western Palm City, it currently takes 15 to 20 minutes for emergency medical services to arrive. That's nearly double the recognized national benchmark, according to the National Fire Protection Association. The standards for EMS response times vary by area. First, there is a target of under 8 minutes, 90% of the time in urban and suburban settings. When it applies to a rural area, it recommends a response time of 14 minutes for 80% of the time. Even by rural standards, we are not meeting expectations. And Western Palm City is not rural anymore. We are considered suburban. It's a rapidly growing suburban community that deserves timely emergency care. I personally spent my entire career working on the heart. I saw firsthand the outcomes of patients who received immediate emergency care versus those who did not. The delay of even a few minutes can lead to permanent damage or worse. This just doesn't apply to cardiac arrest. Timely emergency response is critical for strokes, traumatic injuries, respiratory distress, severe allergic reactions, which I'm allergic to bees, I could die, and countless other emergencies. Minutes lost waiting to help can mean the difference between recovery and lifelong disability or even loss. In the case of cardiac arrest, brain damage begins within 4 to 6 minutes, and the chances of survival drop by 10% every minute without treatment. They aren't just statistics, they're real consequences for people that affect us in our community. I understand there are a lot of factors involved in choosing the location of a new fire station, but I ask you, imagine if your family was waiting 20 minutes for an ambulance or standing helplessly while your home burns. Western Palm City is growing, we pay significant taxes, and our emergency infrastructure does need to reflect that. I respectfully urge you to support the placement of a fire station to our neighborhood because every second truly counts. Thank you.
Deborah Vygotsky is the last request to speak form I have. If you would like to address us, please fill out a request to speak form and give it to the bailiff. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning. Thank you, Chair. Also, you perfectly pronounced that name, which can be somewhat intimidating. Thank you. So good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. My name is Deb Vygotsky, and my husband, Tim, and I live in Stewart West. We have been residents there for the past 8 years and have owned property in Martin County for over 18 years. I, along with many of my neighbors, wish to express strong support for a fire department and rescue on 714 Martin Highway. I am here today not only as a resident, but as someone who knows firsthand how critical response times are. On December 12th, my family lost our home to a devastating fire. By the grace of God, we got out alive along with our golden retriever, Champ. But between the fire, the water, and the smoke damage, our home is a total gut. And we are the third home in as many years. The fire departments that responded were incredible. They were brave, professional, and they did everything that they could. But 15 to 20 minutes for help to arrive was meaningful. By the time they got there, the fire had already taken a hold. A few minutes could have changed everything. It was gut-wrenching to stand there with many of our community members and watch our house burn and not be able to do anything about it and just waiting for the responders to arrive. And we lost everything that we have worked so hard to build. That's why I'm asking you today to support the proposed fire station near our community. It isn't about convenience, it's about saving lives, protecting homes, and giving families like all of ours here today a fighting chance. Our entire community, Stewart West and Cobblestone, alike supports this fire station, and we're asking you to make it a priority. Please don't wait until the next emergency. We can't afford to lose more than we already have. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your commitment to the safety of our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn Harm is the next speaker. Glenn Harm. And that's the last request to speak form that I have.
Good morning, Martin County Board of Commissioners. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. My name's Glenn Harm. I'm speaking on behalf of Revive Church. Recently, about a year and a half ago, we purchased 15 acres out on Martin Highway by I-95. With the great idea and the dream of building a beautiful church there to serve the community. We've been serving the community in Martin County for over 10 years now. And we see that there's really a need there for a fire station. So I want to let you know that I was there when a tornado went through that land last year. I was there. I brought many work crews to help out the neighborhood, clean up trees, brush, and other things that happened there. I was there when the fire went through and it demolished our property there. I was there with the policemen, the fire department. I was on site. And as a design certified engineer registered with the Federal Department of Transportation in Washington, D.C., I'm involved with moving hazmat, hazardous material. And I recognize and am involved with many catastrophic events around the United States. And what I don't want to see happen here in Martin County is a catastrophic event with our church. Our church has every plan and intention of building a beautiful building there, having many people congregating and worshiping. And if there was a fire there, I just don't know how it could ever be attended when the closest fire department is on Map Road 20 minutes away. So I would not want to see another event like what happened out in California where they couldn't handle fires properly. I don't want to see this in Martin County. So I would respectfully ask the Board of Commissioners to carefully consider the budget in trying to develop a fire department close by to where we plan to build our church. I thank you for this time.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address us? Thank you. Then we will move on to our 9:30 preset, which is the Business Development Board's.
Anything from us?
No, we're going to, we have a preset.
I'd like to make a comment first before.
Commissioner Campy?
Before you leave, I would like to we're going to take a preset, but I didn't want all of you to come all this way and not at least hear something back from us. As your district commissioner, I think it's important that you started the process. What you did this morning is exactly what's you're supposed to do. You're supposed to come and speak to your commissioners, your elected officials about your concerns. This issue has been an issue for many, many years, but I think the timing is perfect. Many of you had mentioned the generosity of Ashley Capital, who purchased the property across Martin Highway from you all. That's a multi-million-dollar donation that, had it not been for that company, the county and all taxpayers would be responsible for finding the appropriate finances to purchase that land. Not only is it a donation of land, which is super important, it's at the exact right spot for it. I agree with you. Now, some of us will debate on the speed of development, but there is absolutely development happening in western Palm City, Martin County. All you have to do is ride up Newfield Parkway and see what's happening there. The other advantage of some of those projects is they're building a tax base for not just you residents that could particularly benefit right now from that, but for all Martin County residents. We have to be able to look at our tax base. It's long overdue. I think not just for you all, because if you think about it, you're almost the halfway point from the Palm City Map Road Fire Station. What about the folks that live out on the Martin Grade? They've been asking me since I came to office about how do they have their fire protection. Imagine if you're concerned in Stewart West and Cobblestone, what if you're way out on the grade? That Map Road station or Tropical Farms is their station as well. I don't know if God is sending us a signal, but it seems that there's a lot more fire activity happening in your neck of the woods in the last couple of years, everywhere in America, but especially in yours. The other day, I could see the tower of smoke coming from your neighborhood and your area all the way in Palm City, and I just knew that we've received your emails. I think it's not just fire, as one of the speakers said. More likely, it's going to be a medical emergency. And every minute is not only, as some of the speakers said, not only super important from a medical point of view, emotionally, seconds make a huge difference. I can't imagine standing in front of your home as it burned. I think we can all relate to how horrific that must have been. I would tell you that I can't speak for my colleagues, but we have a large budget, we have concerns, and we have priorities. But as far as I'm concerned, obviously as one of the 5, but your District 5 Commissioner, I think it's important that we give direction to our administrator and financial staff to prioritize our budget to put this into into our mix. I have always said when the fire department comes or the sheriff comes, the first dollar that you give us of your tax dollars, you expect to be public safety, and this is exactly what it is. So I will give you my full commitment, as long as I'm sitting up here, that we move full steam ahead to help you have a fire station in Western Palm City. I did not want you to leave without hearing that and wonder what's going on up here. So thank you.
Now we'll take up our 9:30 preset, which is the Business Development Board's annual report.
Thank you.
Let's wait until the room clears. Candies to Layla. Okay, Mr. Stokas, we are ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair. George Stoke, Assistant County Administrator. For the record, it's my pleasure to present Mr. William Corbin, our Executive Director of our BDB, this morning, as well as his, we'll call it entourage of board members and private businesses. Pursuant to their contract, the Business Development Board is here to present their 2024 annual report as per their contract. In the agenda item is both the board item as well as their required annual audit, which I believe showed no findings. And with that, it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Corbin to the dais for his presentation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stokas. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate that. Thank you for the opportunity to give our annual update. I'm William Corbin, and I'm the Executive Director for the Business Development Board of Martin County, and we are the county's officially contracted economic development partner. Before I begin, I'd like to mention and highlight a few facts for you all relating to the agenda item. Number one, the first one is overhead costs have increased. Rent and insurance, we are not immune to that, like many of our other businesses and in the community and across the country. Number two, the City of Stewart Commission majority voted to remove their annual $10,000 financial contribution to the BDB in support of our services to the city from its budget. And number three, and this is most important, we'd like to implement and include $61,000 of new programming into our operating budget in response to requests from our Martin County small business and entrepreneur community. However, I will say, being a fiscal conservative and a fiduciary of the county's funds, we're only asking for a modest 4% increase from the county's portion, $20,000 from $465,000 to $485,000. We tried to bootstrap around the budget and to more aggressively go after the private side of the funding. I've got only a handful of slides where I'll summarize and underscore the value of the BDB to Martin County as we help grow the tax base and increase county tax revenues while helping small businesses and entrepreneurs exceed. Here's our vision to foster a strong Martin County economy characterized by a diversity of businesses and a growing and sustainable tax base. Our mission is to lead economic development by supporting local contributory businesses, attracting investment, and fostering job creation. Here's an overview of what we do. We help select businesses and target industries grow, expand, and stay in Martin County. We oversee and organize programming and events, and I'll talk to that a little bit more. We are a liaison to the government. Oftentimes, as you can imagine, many companies are hesitant for various reasons to speak directly with the government, and we help to escort them through that process, whether it be permitting or anything else. We also conduct individual business visits, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, and that guides feedback, that guides programming and services that we do. And I always like to highlight 80 to 20. Fun fact, 80% of net new local job growth, and you may have heard me say this before, comes from your existing industries, the companies and businesses that are already in the community. And so this really illustrates the importance of what we call business retention and expansion, BRE, in the field of economic development, and that's what we put most of our focus on. And of course, we do focus on, attraction as well. There are opportunities that we'd like to continue to be a good location for. And of course, we support the county in their business recovery after disasters, hurricanes, and things of that nature from the business perspective, where we're trying to talk to companies and talk to businesses after a disaster to see, whether they're open, to connect them with resources that can help them recover more efficiently and quickly. Responsibilities, again, I talk about contributory businesses, and I'll explain that in a bit more for everybody and refresh everyone's memory on that. We assist the county, the city of Stewart, the village of Indiantown with coordinating incentive programs. We're currently working to implement the toolkit, the economic toolkit that the county is updating, and we're hoping to do that with the county by the fiscal year beginning in October. We're the single point of contact for prospect client services as it relates to the State Department of Commerce, as I mentioned, that 20% of attraction and recruitment. And we also oversee the Industrial Development Authority, which is a really important tool in our toolkit that organization is able to offer tax-exempt financing and under better terms to certain eligible projects. Thank you for appointing and filling that board. It's now the board is full in terms of the 5 members, and they are excited to hit the ground running. They met for the first time in over a year recently, a couple months ago, and we're excited to continue to look for opportunities whereby they can help spur development or redevelopment in the county. And we promote Martin County as an ideal place to do business. When people ask me what you do in economic development, we're a cheerleader for the community that we work in, for both existing industry and for other industry that's looking to come in and do business. Contributory businesses, as I mentioned before, these are essentially companies that derive more than 50% of their revenue from outside of the county. Many of these companies are manufacturers. This is where we play mostly. This is our space. And this is the added value that we bring, helping these types of companies to come and locate and expand into the county, such as, aviation, aerospace, marine, manufacturing, boat building. Service companies are not included in that. Those are oftentimes focused more with the chambers, and those include retail, restaurants, which are also important, but the added value of contributory businesses is really where we can see value from the BDB perspective. This is an example of our process where we essentially pulse or visit businesses proactively to speak to them and talk to them about their industry trends, any pain points, challenges that they may be experiencing, barriers to connecting with resources like capital, like access to capital and technical assistance. And we've done about 50 of these in the past year. The important part here is the last 3 rows is the follow-up items that derive from those initial visits. And that ranges from anything from, again, permitting issues, or even trash. It's surprising how much trash is an important thing for businesses and on-time pickup and things of that nature. Any kind of problems or challenges that they're having. Some of these oftentimes turn into official projects like, hey, we are running out of space and we need to expand or we need to look for new opportunities. We try to keep them in the county. If we don't do that, you don't hear about those companies that may have those issues and they will just leave the county. And so we're trying to be here to help improve the business environment and help them access all of that. CIS Security Solutions, we're helping them with access a foreign trade zone and to help create one for them to expand their reach. We've worked with Palm City Millwork on their property out in Palm City. Grindhard Ammo, we've been involved in both their Stewart location and their expansion in the village of Indiantown, over 150,000 square feet out there. IM Group and Pursuit Aerospace are just some of the companies that we work with that a lot of projects come directly out of these Pulse visits. Talking about Pulse to programming, the engagement of the business community is really important because a lot of these items that you see here came directly out of that. The Manufacturers Roundtable, we found that companies and businesses are looking for peers to really engage with and to have a forum to talk about strategy, to talk shop with them, to talk about how one does talent retention a different way than the other. And so we started the Manufacturers Roundtable a couple of years ago in order to fill that need. Out of that recently came a concern from our manufacturers that work with the Department of Defense. Or you make a part for the Department of Defense. We have one of those companies here with us now. Now the government is requiring companies that do those things to be compliant with cybersecurity. It's called the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. That unfortunately has a cost to it. And a consultant to help you or company remain compliant, it can cost up to $150,000 annually. We've received a lot of concerns from our smaller and medium-sized manufacturers who this would have a regressive effect on and who literally the business could close because of this requirement that they have to be compliant with the government in terms of cybersecurity from bad actors. So out of that, we did a workshop on cybersecurity compliance. And out of that, we've been working with our partners, economic development state partners, to create a loan fund for these businesses that would not be able to access those funds through the traditional banking methods. We're working with a CDFI who's able to loan as small as $5,000 up to $150,000 to help fill that gap and that need. So we're doing things and programming like that to help lift up our business community. Things like Access to Capital Workshop, Export University 101, which connects companies from a foreign direct investment perspective. And we're working to create a county-focused small business loan fund, regardless of your industry, to help with those smaller to medium micro loans that businesses have trouble and challenges getting to help scale their business and create more revenue and investment in tax base for us here at the county. I will say that the entrepreneur education programs is another aspect of that. The Small Business Loan Fund and the entrepreneur education programs, they represent about $61,000 in expenses that I mentioned before that we had to cover in this FY26 budget proposal. And so that's really the two newer programming that we have gotten feedback from the business community on what they need. Direct business assistance, Daher Aerospace, as you know, they recently working on the lease with the county, and they will be implementing $30 million of capital expenditures for their 2 new production lines. So we're helping connect them with resources related to financing, resources at the state related to workforce, how we can kind of prop them up in terms of helping support their growth and their efforts and their goals here in Martin County. Hinckley Yachts, they're exploring expansion on their campus. We've helped with that in terms of creating a pre-application meeting and helping them along that. Power Systems Manufacturing, they have approximately $11.3 million in equipment, tangible personal property, and a projected $5.8 million in tenant building improvements in their project that they are potentially coming to the county in terms of an incentive in terms of the TPP exemption that was approved by voters. And so that would bring 101 jobs over 3 years with average salaries around $74,000 per worker. Last year, we influenced about $150 million of total capital investment in 315,000 square feet of commercial real estate space. And we've also helped bring in an extra $675,000 in tangible personal property, or TPP, to county tax revenues. For example, that $11.3 million in estimated tangible personal property tax with Power Systems Manufacturing represents approximately $366 in TPP over 8 years. And if they are to get that incentive, this TPP would come back on the tax rolls after that incentive period. But the important part is that it would be plus a $1.2 million return on investment in fiscal benefit over that same time period from offering that incentive. So with that, you know, the BDB is bringing this type of value to Martin County, I believe, on a daily, a monthly, a yearly basis. I believe that we bring value to the county. I believe that we help to raise the tax base and therefore ease the pressure and the burden on government in terms of operations. So with that, I'd like to respectfully request your support for this new budget amount for FY26, which again is about 4% more than the previous year's amount. And to reiterate the 3 points at the beginning that I mentioned, overall head costs, they have increased. You know, rent and insurance, we lost $10,000 from the city of Stewart to remove their contribution. And most importantly, we really want to implement what is needed from the business community, small businesses, entrepreneurs who are trying to grow here in the county, keep them here, and we're trying to really raise all boats to increase county tax revenues while helping these small businesses and these entrepreneurs succeed. So I thank you for your time this morning, and I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Any questions from Mr. Corbin?
Is there a public comment or no?
Is there, I don't have any requests to speak.
Okay, then I have a request to speak.
Please pass your request to speak to the bailiff, please.
Looked like an auction for a second there. Sold. I was going to say.
A lot of people sitting there for no public.
I was going to say, a lot of people hanging around for just to hear the story.
Want to hear from the public first?
Sure.
One or two.
Stephen Hartz is first, followed by Susan Rabinowitz.
Good morning. I'm Stephen Hartz. I'm the owner of Value Tool and Engineering, which I founded in South Bend, Indiana. And in 2017, we opened a facility here in Palm City. Value Tool and Engineering is an advanced manufacturing operation. We service the aerospace and defense markets with a focus on engine components and ground support equipment. We also build components for missile defense and night vision systems. We're what William calls as a contributory business. All of our revenue comes from outside the area, and we're able to bring those dollars into the local economy. Like many employers, we deal with a large variety of issues, but by far the most complicated is workforce. I am highly focused on talent development. In Indiana, I co-founded a charter school which has now evolved into 4 separate schools. And we help prepare the local workforce for successful employment not only in advanced manufacturing, but in other non-college careers. The Treasure Coast is much like South Bend, Indiana, before our training efforts really got underway. Excuse me. Right now, I'm working on strategies to help cultivate the local workforce, and the Business Development Board and its partners have been an excellent resource in this effort. I've also been impressed with his executive leadership and the staff that has wasted no time in pursuing, that I wasted no time in pursuing an opportunity to serve on their board of directors as soon as it became available. The modest funding request will help the Business Development Board remain successful in addressing the priorities of industries like advanced manufacturing, and the overall result is more and better job opportunities, which will result in a more diverse tax base and stronger economy. We hope you will approve this request. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Susan Rabinowitz is next, followed by Nelson Levy.
Good morning, Martin County Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today and for your consideration of this request. I'm Susan Rabinowitz, Chair of the Business Development Board, an organization that I have had the privilege of serving for nearly 3 years. During my tenure with the BDB, we've assembled a strong board of directors with diverse leadership experience in legacy industries. This leadership deserves a lot of credit for its thorough search for a high-caliber executive director, which led us to William Corbin. Thanks to his guidance and the BDB team, we've concentrated our efforts to relationship building across the business community, particularly with contributory businesses. These are the companies that largely serve national and international markets, infusing capital into Martin County and enlarging the local economy with minimal offsets. These businesses, primarily aviation, aerospace, marine, advanced manufacturing, these businesses are where high-wage job opportunities are created. Through our Pulse visits, the BDB team has established trust with the CEOs of such businesses, and the insights they provide inform many of our programs, including the Access to Capital initiative you've heard about today. Your yes vote will make this initiative possible, positioning the BDB to serve as an essential conduit enabling small business owners who are currently unequipped to readily access bank capital to attain much-needed funding more efficiently and effectively. The monies that will be awarded through the Access to Capital program do not come from the BDB or local tax dollars. They are derived through financial institutions specializing in such funding, and they're assisted by the guidance and advocacy of the BDB. The simplified process and the speed with which the BDB and our financial partners will be able to facilitate the request is the real strength of this program. Thanks to careful and responsible budgeting, the BDB has been able to make the request to achieve this goal in a very conservative manner. We respectfully request your support, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you. Nelson Levy is next, followed by Debbie Pease.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Nelson Levy. I'm a IDF veteran. I served over 10 years in combat as a major. I'm here to talk about 2 points, a little bit about my company and more about the BDB. A bit about the industry I am in. It's the ammo business. And in the U.S., most of the ammo is actually made and owned by entities outside of the U.S. I see that as a national threat. Mr. Skolnick, who is a huge investor, entrepreneur, philanthropist, has decided to invest in this county tens of millions of dollars. And our company is not only making ammo in the U.S. for Americans, for the law enforcement, but it's actually owned here. And I see that as a big add value. Additional add value is that we're building 2 more facilities on top of the one we have 5 minutes down the road that will create 400 jobs in the next few years. And those are high-end jobs. A bit about the BDB. For us, the BDB has been very impactful in building our business, in building opportunities, in creating revenue opportunities, in saving money, and in making things happen much faster. Examples are working with different entities that give us the licenses for the different businesses we're building and have here. The next point is what we see that the BDB has bought for us. And I think in your eyes, the important thing is to see what is the ROI for the BDB. That's the main point. They're asking for money, what are they giving back? And I'm telling you what they're going to give us from our side. Just the tax that you will be collecting from businesses like mine or other businesses are huge. And I see that ROI as a huge add value. I would like to continue in seeing their add value to companies like my own. I deeply thank them, and I hope you consider that in a deep way. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Pease is next, followed by Dan Romans.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Pull the mic down a little bit. There you
A
go.
little shorter. Good morning. My name is Debbie Pease. I'm with DeHare, an aerospace manufacturer here at Witham Field in Stewart. Since DeHare's arrival in Martin County, the Business Development Board has been hugely helpful and remains so to this day. At the onset, they helped us get in front of key community leaders and solidify important partnerships. They've helped manage media interviews and amplified the messaging of our presence here in this community. Today, they are helping us achieve an exciting new milestone at the Stewart location. We will soon begin assembly of our TBM aircraft, one of the fastest single single turboprop aircraft in the world. In the future, we hope to further expand to include the Kodiak, our multi-purpose aircraft that is popular with government agencies and humanitarian organizations. We are in the process of preparing to replace an existing hangar, building number 4, for those of you who have been out to the facility, and upgrade the facilities, which is about a $30 million investment. In fact, there was an article in the TC Palm recently that you may have read. These new facilities will enable us to assemble the TBM and Kodiak on-site right here in Martin County, as well as continuing to build large structures for our customers Boeing and Gulfstream. This initiative will require job creation and expansion. The BDB has assisted us in organizing important meetings with key stakeholders. They've put us together with leaders from Space Florida, Florida Commerce, and FPL to continue to help us access resources and navigate the development process. The knowledge, network of key contacts, and business advocacy of the BDB has really helped smooth our entry into the community and is playing a direct role in expanding our investment here in Martin County. Our experience is testament to the return on investment that the BDB brings to Martin County. I hope you will consider their request. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Dan Romance, followed by Mayor DiPaolo.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning. My name is Dan Romance. I am the president of Indiantown Marine Center. I am also the president of the Marine Industries Association of the Treasure Coast, and I'm also on the BDB Executive Board. One of the key challenges we're seeing in the marine industry, and this is a challenge that's seen across many of the legacy industries, is the need for qualified talent. These days, there's a lot of buzz about the importance of workforce development, and there are a lot of players working in this space. But at the Marine Industries Association, we've benefited tremendously from a direct partnership with the BDB in helping us address this issue for our association. With their help, we're at the table with the leaders of the institutions that we need to work with to find and train the talent that our industry needs. The staff does even more behind the scenes to help put these priorities into action, and we're starting to see real progress on this front. This level of involvement and attention to detail is one way that the BDB serves the needs of existing businesses. This is vital to business retention, and we understand and appreciate our community's discerning approach to business attraction, which actually makes business retention all the more important. None of us want to see existing businesses go elsewhere, especially if there's a way to keep them in our community. That's one of the many reasons why the professional services that the BDB provides are so important. The connections and the trust the BDB is building with the leaders of essential industries plays a vital role in business retention. Their responsiveness and professional service brings tremendous value to Martin County, and I hope that you will support this funding request. Thank you.
Mayor DiPaolo is next, followed by William David Snyder. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mayor of Indiantown, also sit on the Business Development Board. Great things, as you all know, are happening in Indiantown. And we're attracting investments. We're improving our infrastructure. Right now, we have more than 250,000 square feet of manufacturing. approved under construction. We have seen an increase in jobs, and the BDB is playing a big role in the impact role of efforts to get the job done. I've, as I said, I've been on the board and since my election, and I'm very impressed with William. Since William has come to the board, he's made a big impact on the board and on the community. I refer people to him just about 2 or 3 times a week, and they're all happy with, once they call me back and say, yeah, I spoke to William, we got a meeting set up, thank you so much. So it's, the Business Development Board is a big part of the growth of Indiantown. And that is going to have a positive impact on our tax dollars, not only for the village of Indiantown, but Martin County as a whole. So I ask the commissioners, please support the request. Thank you.
Thank you. William David Snyder is next, and that's the last request to speak form. If you'd like to address us, please fill out a request to speak form and hand it to the bailiff. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Thank you. My name is David Snyder. I'm a member of the BDB Board of Directors and a second-generation small business owner here in Martin County. I'm raising my family here, and Martin County is very special to me. My professional experience also includes service in law enforcement in the United States Marine Corps. So I understand command structure, and I understand clear objectives and the importance of mission accomplishment. My interpretation of my role with the BDB is fulfilling the mission as directed by the Board of County Commissioners. The mission is straightforward, and it's pretty simple. It's support existing business and strengthen the local economy and help diversify the tax base so the cost of services aren't borne inordinately by our homeowners. A lot of requests today, and I think that diversification of that tax base is very important. There are 3 main ways we achieve this mission. Number 1, we prioritize existing companies through our business retention efforts. You've heard about the Pulse visits today, and I've had the privilege of attending dozens of those. And I can tell you just anecdotally and from my own experience, the impact that has when you go into a small business owner's office and you sit down and you have a conversation with about the challenges that they're facing. There aren't a lot of forums to express that as a business owner. And so it is a safe environment, and I think that we have begun to establish strong relationships with business owners. But that takes time and confidence to build those relationships. It does take some time. But that's exactly what the BDB team is doing and why the results have been so effective. Number 2, we aim to attract business that will contribute to the resilience of our economy. And most important to me, and one of the reasons why I'm on this board, is because our goal is also to find those businesses that respect our local culture and our small town family-centered values. You've heard about some good examples today. Just recently, you heard about Grind Hard Ammo, IM Group, Dyer, and I think that really is what we're looking for in this community. So it's our goal to continue to attract those businesses here. And finally, number 3, we uphold a positive local business climate so existing businesses and entrepreneurs like me and others in our community can thrive and succeed. That's what this program is about, and that's what this request is about. The BDB is we're your ambassador. We are an arm of you. We're the ambassador to the business community in Martin County, and we represent your thoughtful commitment to the business community at large. Thank you for your service to our community, and please consider this request. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you very much. I know that for a lot of the folks that came to speak this morning on behalf of the BDB, they left work to do it, so I appreciate it. I tried to just jot down a couple of quick points because there's so many things to discuss. My regular job beyond the commission is I work for a local manufacturer that is a 90-year-old company, 4th-generation family company. I'm not a family member. They've been in Martin County for over 30 years, and we, like some of the speakers this morning, we manufacture locally, we employ locally, and all of our products, 99.9% of our products, are sent out of the county, the state, the country. Without the organization like the BDB, my boss and our company, like so many thousands of others or hundreds and hundreds of others in Martin County, would be completely on their own, would not have the ability, the financial capacity to have the foresight to hire consultants at high hourly rates. The BDB has come in many occasions and given them the direction for free. So they are taxpayers, they're employers in Martin County, they're receiving services from the BDB for free. And without them, whether it's small or medium, we don't have to have the concern for the gigantic corporations. They have the wherewithal to do these, but the small and mid companies that are the backbone of Martin County, in most counties, we wouldn't have that. I think by offering our support for their very reasonable request today sends a message to our local businesses, both existing and potential, that we as a board, as the representatives of their local government, as the representatives of the people that are collecting all of these taxes, that we appreciate and understand it. It's not work. I agree that the BDB needs to be a separate outside entity. There has been conversations in the past, it should be inside this organization. I disagree. Folks need to be able to come, and if they have some issues with one of our departments, they can't go to another department to discuss the other, one of our colleagues. So I think it's important that we send the proper message to our businesses as we collect all of their taxes, that we will also support an organization that supports them. Mr. Corbin mentioned the IDA. I know that we've recently, through our appointment of citizen leaders, we have breathed new life into that organization. And for smaller businesses, you can get better rates, more attractive rates through the IDA than you can potentially through banks. I would say, as a commissioner who's been up here for quite a while, to my newer colleagues, the best way for you to find out who's doing business quietly and professionally in Martin County, many of the introductions and the tours that I have had of local businesses has been arranged by the BDB, and I would not have had that opportunity if it wasn't for an organization that is the liaison between not just the county government, but the five of us individually. Your connection to these local businesses is through the BDB. I watch, as I have said in the past, I watch all of the City of Stuart meetings. I think it's important to know what our colleagues at the city are doing. They are the seat of our county. And so I was very disappointed when, after Mr. Corbin and others made their presentation to again, newer commissioners that might not have had the historic references of the value that the BDB, if I feel that it brings it to the county, it certainly brings it to the city. And for them to have eliminated their financial support, in my opinion, was a mistake. And then finally, I would say that there is a collaboration that I have seen firsthand, not only having served on the BDB board in the past, many years ago, and I would certainly like to be on the BDB board again when we do our reorganizations. I'm already a huge supporter and a big believer in the value of the BDB and the people that work for us in it. So I've always relinquished my desire to be on the board to allow new commissioners to have that opportunity to see firsthand. But when I was on, the collaboration that we have with the Small Business Development Center, IRSC, Select Florida, which used to be Enterprise Florida, the Department of Commerce, our local chambers of commerce, the Economic Council, the TCBA, the marine industry, and the realtors, that collaboration is a wheel and spoke, kind of a hub and spoke philosophy for me, and the BDB is the hub of all of those spokes of that economic development. So even before hearing from my colleagues, I would hope to kick off and show my continued support of an organization that when we talk about, oh, we support local businesses, we need to literally put our money where our mouths are, and I would make a motion to accept staff's recommendation, or at least the BDB's request for that additional funding. I think it's a small percentage of the value that they bring to our community. Thank you.
The staff's recommendation is simply to receive the report, not to approve a budget request.
Well, then I would make a motion that we approve the budget request when it's appropriate.
Mr. Stokas.
So, Madam Chair, thank you for leading this. I just wanted to point of clarification. What is before you today is the presentation, but I did hear loud and clear. We've been in receipt of the budget request from the BDB. We will be including it into your normal budget process that's coming before you in about, I think it's within about 2 or 3 meetings from today's meeting. But yes, we're looking to accept the report, which does satisfy the requirement under the BDB contract. And I think what the BDB is trying to do is be very transparent in what they're going to be asking you here in a future date. And I, as staff, appreciate the clarification from the board as to actually including that budget request into your normal budget process. So just wanted to be clear what you're accepting is just the report with their audit, which does satisfy their contract.
Commissioner Capps.
I would like to just begin by saying that I appreciate the opportunity to be the Board of County Commissioners representative on the BDB this year. I have learned an awful lot already from each and every one of you. I want to thank each one of you for coming. Those of you who are on the BDB, to share your perspective. I have 3 adult kids and 1 son-in-law who live in Martin County. And so good jobs and economic development are certainly close to home in our household. And I see the value of it. We need economic development and good jobs for existing residents, for the future generation, and also to keep our taxes in line. And I think the budget request is very modest and very reasonable, and I would be supportive of it when the time comes. And certainly I'm in support of receiving the report at this time. Thanks.
Commissioner Heatherington.
Yes. We'll try not to duplicate. Thank you for many of you business owners for coming here. First, I want to compliment Will Corbin, because it is not easy to come in, and the board who hired Will Corbin. It is not easy to come in from Martin County, and I've been here for my entire life, and my family's been here for generations. To come in and really hit the ground running and learn all the intricacies of Martin County and the unique characteristics, and then to go and actually start implementing those. So I'll compliment you. You've done a great job in learning and hitting the ground running. So, and then secondly, on the Pulse program, you kind of acquainted me with it, and then I went and followed up with some businesses that you did visit, and to make sure that the return on investment was there. And I heard nothing but really good things from the businesses in the community that you've been working with for expansion and retention. So I would say by and large that program has provided a measurement tool for us to measure the return on investment. So I think good for you on the Pulse program. And then on the additional requests this year and some of the tools that you're offering to businesses, until I met with you, I didn't know that this cybersecurity initiative and requirements were impacting some of our local businesses and some of our high-producing manufacturing business as they were. So you definitely had your pulse on that community. And to clarify, and I know you said it, a couple speakers said it, we won't be offering loans, but we will be helping those businesses be connected and get the assistance they need. And again, but for you, I wouldn't have known that cybersecurity issue with our manufacturing businesses was of consequential concern. So therefore, you also demonstrated your return. And one of the most important things that you said today was talking about the businesses growing and thriving in our community. I too, like Commissioner Capps, I have adult kids. I was born and raised here, and it's important to me to see us economically being able to have our kids and our people that want to stay in Martin County have good jobs to come back to, and to ease the pressure, you said, on the residential tax base. So the biggest thing that we can do for the benefit of our residents is continue to help businesses expand, so we do ease the residential, the burden on the residential tax base. I think that I want to send a message loud and clear to businesses throughout the county, and it is unfortunate. And I was happy to see the mayor of Indiantown here supporting economic development and growth. And I think that our cities need to be supportive as well, supporting the businesses that are in their districts. So I will certainly support your request for this year when the time comes. And I think that you have done a really good job in demonstrating your return on investment. So thank you.
And I certainly will support the receipt of the report today. But when it comes time to review your budget requests, you're going to have to include performance measures to quantify the success of your board. And you're also going to, as I've been saying for 22 years, you're going to have to diversify your investors. Martin County, it can't just be Martin County taxpayers' obligation each year to support your budget. It has to be the private sector also. It's the way that it is elsewhere. Commissioner Campy.
Mr. Corbin, I asked you that question when we had the opportunity to meet. Can you come forward? I agree with what Commissioner Hurd is saying. I have been sitting here next to her many years when she has said about the diversification. Can you share with us how your funding is now diversified?
So the 2 years ago, the percentage of our budget, operating budget, was at about 75%. And the last year, and certainly in this budget, we are moving that to 67% of the budget. So we're heading in the right direction, I think. I'd like to really focus on the private sector. I think that there are opportunities that we haven't captured yet in the private sector, in the business community, companies that understand and appreciate what we bring to the community and how that can help them with their growth. We just got Truist, is on board now as a new investor. We'll be making an investor presentation tomorrow at our board meeting. And there are other companies like that out there. And I think the business community understands and appreciates the value, our vision, our mission, and the value that we bring and what we're trying to do for the community. And I think that there's opportunity there to make those asks. So that is my intention, certainly.
Thank you. So you're saying it's about 60 to 65% of the funding is still government-related, whereas in the past, as Commissioner Hurd had mentioned, it was much, much higher than that.
Right.
And also,
2 years ago, yeah, it was at least 73 plus.
So you're definitely heading in the right direction. Can you tell us how long you've been affiliated with the Business Development Board?
I've been here for approximately 6 or so months. I started in mid-September of 2024, last year. So it's been just before Hurricane Milton, and so we had our big annual event in December, and really been working a lot with the board in terms of what I call board development. We revised the vision and mission, we've refreshed things, and we're looking at strategies to capture additional revenues. And so I'm trying to, like I mentioned before, bootstrap around. The ask is not 60, it's not dollar for dollar. And I understand, the challenges that you all as leaders face financially in terms of making decisions. So we're trying to be good partners and good fiduciary for the organization, for the county.
Thank you.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, several things. We are just going to vote today on their presentation. They've made the presentation. Okay, just receiving it, that's fine. This is an excellent time for us to cut the budget. It is. Reduce our spending and do our part to save our taxpayers money. I urge my fellow commissioners to help end wasteful choices and make bold decisions. I'm a business owner also. You're heading in the right direction, but we're not in that climate anymore.
You finished?
I am.
I don't think we need a motion, do we? In that case, it's received, and we will take a 10-minute break.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
You're on.
We are back, and we are returning to commissioner comments. Commissioner Vargas.
Okay. I think these are light comments for right now.
Sure.
All right, sure. Community Greening Partnership, they had a recent tree giveaway in Hobe Sound last weekend. Well, we're going to have ours this weekend at Indian Riverside Park. It's from 10 until 12, yes, but please get there early because they expect to run out by about 11:30, 11:45. And it's a free event because we like free around here. And they have Florida Keys black bead, live oak, mango, red maple, Barbados cherry, all sorts of varieties. So this is the time to spring plant. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Capps?
On the 14th, which was about 8 days ago, I had the privilege of attending the Fire Rescue Class 44 graduation at New Hope Fellowship Church in Palm City. And this event was just done so well. I was so impressed. We had heard very inspiring speeches from Chief Gentili and some of the students. It was just excellent. We saw a very dramatic video of what can go on in the lives of firefighters. And there was a very emotional moment where one of the students, or the graduates, her father had been a firefighter and had apparently died in service, and this new graduate was given her father's badge number, and it really kind of choked me up. It was very, very touching. And I left there being very proud of the fire department that we have. It just seems like they're a first-class organization, and I'd like to congratulate the graduates. The second thing I would mention is that I'd like to give some kudos to our Parks Department for new playground equipment in a park in my old neighborhood in East Ridge Estates in Hobe Sound. We bought our first house there in 1994. 31 years ago, and so the park has a special meaning to me because our kids were small at that time, and we have some really nice playground equipment there for the kids now, so good job to the Parks Department.
Thank you. Commissioner Campy?
Thank you very much. This Saturday at the patio in Palm City Place on Map Road, which is just directly next door to the Palm City Fire Station, we're having another edition of Music in the Park. We're bringing in some food and beverage trucks, an ice cream truck. There'll be live music. It starts at 6 with the food trucks to give people a chance to bring your own chairs and blankets, and the music starts at 7. We've been going through a series of local bands and musicians. This weekend on Saturday stands to be the same. We've had increased turnout each month that we've done it, so I invite anyone who's interested in socializing, being outside, listening to live music, enjoying. You can pack a dinner, you can order from local restaurants, takeout, or you can participate in the food trucks that we'll have there, and I invite everyone to come. It is a completely free event. And as Commissioner Vargas said, we like free.
We do.
Thank you.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Yes, this morning we heard a proclamation for Historic Preservation Month here in Martin County, and I just wanted to recognize one of our own Golden Gate residents who will be honored in May for Historic Preservationist of the Year, Sadia Safaridis, and we will have a chance in May to officially honor her, but she was selected by the Committee for Preservationists of the Year, May 15th, that we believe we will be officially honoring her, but she spent many, many years on the Golden Gate Neighborhood Advisory Committee, on our CRA, and as well on the Historic Preservation Committee. So I want to congratulate her and recognize her and thank her for all the many, many years of volunteerism for Martin County, and I look forward to honoring her in May.
Excellent. I agree with you. Perfect choice, and I'm sure her husband, Chris, could not be more proud.
Mr. Donaldson.
I have two things. First, last week we had Martin County attended the Safety Council of Palm Beaches, and which is an organization that's made up of both private and public entities to deal with safety in the workforce. And we had a number of award recipients. So if you just give me a second to go through them. First, our HR and Risk Management Department received a merit for vehicle employee safety. And we're also recognized as having a 10-year low on our workers' compensation mod rate, which is at 0.7, so we are well below the average of 1 for the state of Florida. And that's a testament to our group's commitment to safety in the workforce. Next, our Fire Rescue and Parks Department, really in combination with the Board of County Commissioners, which we initiated the life-saving initiative for the AEDs in our parks, and so we were recognized for those devices that you all helped and our staff put out throughout our Parks Department. I think a really unique one, too, was our library system in combination with our Martin County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Jenkins and Remy, the Bloodhound, has participated in with the library in regarding Alzheimer's or folks with the dementia, and how we can use the Sheriff's Department can help find folks and help educate our residents on that program. So that was a really nice event. And of course, Remy, the hound dog, when we went up to take a picture, the dog instantly posed and knew his picture was being taken, and it was a great amusement to the crowd. So that was good. And then, of course, finally, of course, you all know that we had one of our Employees of the Year, Jose Machado, was also recognized for a Heroism Award for his previously recognized here for taking swift action when he saw a child in a busy street unattended, where he helped get the child to safety and alerted the sheriff's office, and then got him rejoined with his family. So anyway, it was once again a reminder to me and how our staff and our many awards stacked up to the rest of the group. I thought we were well represented, and of course I felt we were the best of all. And again, there was large companies there too, with Pratt Whitney and other large corporations, and that were represented, but ours I thought did really well. And lastly, we have an Everglades Summit on June 10th. And a number of you all have thought that would be a good week to attend. So we have 3 commissioners that are interested in. So I'm suggesting that we may need to cancel the BOCC meeting for June 10th. But take a look at that, and then maybe at the end of the day we can discuss that to see if we want to have the meeting and or attend the Everglades Summit. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Woods? Excellent. We'll take up our consent agenda now. There are several polls: consent 9, consent 10, consent 11, and consent 13. Can I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Let's begin with consent number 9, which is a code enforcement action.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Doherty, Director of the Building Department. This agenda item is for consideration of a fine reduction in accordance with the ordinance that the board has previously passed. The property has come into compliance, which is always the goal, and in that, the county has received the 10% minimum as required by the ordinance, and it has gone through the adjudication process with the magistrate, and the recommended order with the magistrate's signature is attached to the agenda item.
Commissioner Vargas?
Yes. I had requested that these 3 be pulled because if you could please explain to the audience and those here in attendance and my fellow commissioners, so what happens if I have a violation on my property? You come out, you cite me, and I refuse to pay it for any length of time. What happens? It just disappears? Do you come back again and put another lien on the property, so I'm unable to refinance or sell the property. It's a cloud on the property title.
The process is, property is identified as non-compliant. It goes through a formal process of being notified to the owner, and then they given a time to come in compliance. If they do not, then it's brought before the magistrate. At that point, the magistrate would issue an order as they determine to come into compliance with the timeline. If that timeline is not met, it comes back to the magistrate, and then an order is filed, and then a running fine, whatever that is, $100 a day, depending on the situation. That then is recorded in the public records as a lien, if you will, against the property. In order to remove that, you would have to come into compliance, and then you would pay the lesser of 10% of the outstanding fine or 10% of the assessed value. And then you would go back to the magistrate to confirm that it has been come into compliance, the money has been paid, and then the signature is done. And then we currently come to the board for the final approval. If you do not pay it, the fine continues to run. Typically, a fine will be addressed when either financing is put on the property and the bank requires it, or the property sold. If the fine is not paid over a 20-year period by state statute, the fine goes away after 20 years. Our alternative is to start a new case as a repeat offender and then go through the whole process again for compliance, go before the magistrate again, get another order against the property, and record it again. We can go, if the board so desires, to the court to foreclose, but we're not allowed to do that on homesteaded property. We're estimating probably half of our liens are against homesteaded, so that would not be an option on them. It would only be on non-homesteaded property, whether it's commercial or a rental type thing. So that's generally the process. If it times out, then our only option in that case would be to start another project, another compliance request again, and go through the process in front of the magistrate.
Okay, is this something that we would have to propose, or is this something already existing within Martin County? I mean, do we need to make a motion to put this on our calendar to be able to review this? Because if somebody stays in the house for 40 years, 20 years, you say it time's out. So why wouldn't you go back to renew that? And maybe our attorney can explain that, or you.
Well, Madam Commissioner, Sebastian Poprowski, Senior Assistant County Attorney, it doesn't happen very often. As you can imagine, within that 20-year period, someone usually refinances, passes away, tries to sell the property, at which point it's taken care of. I believe, and Mr. Doherty, you could maybe clear this up, in the last how many years, we've had one that's almost timed out?
We've had one in, I think, 2011, to the best of our knowledge, and in that case, we started a new case.
Yes, because I definitely don't want us to be a paper tiger here. You know, we told you have to pay. Well, I'm not going to pay. I'm going to stay here forever. And then the property's still not taken care of properly for whatever reason. So is this something that we need to bring before the board to say that we give the authority for this department to refile again after 20 years? Or how do we handle this?
Mr. Donaldson?
I was just going to say that there are circumstances under the worst cases, where the property is so poorly maintained that the house is deemed uninhabitable. And in those particular cases, it's not a simple process either, where you determine, and we've demolished homes. We haven't taken property ownership, but we've had to remove the structure to deal with it. So it is a touchy issue where the government has the authority and to take somebody's private property rights. So it's a very limited process when we do that. I think staff fully has the capability of reissuing code violations, and typically the strongest impetus on maintaining vigilance on these properties is their neighbor and their neighborhoods who see the deteriorated property, who are continuing to challenge us to try to bring it into compliance. And so that is a balance between taking the most our strongest legal action, which is whether it's foreclosure or in those cases where our building official has had to make a call to have a property demolished. It is we do take that very seriously, and it's not an easy thing to deal with as your government agents. But I think the staff does have the full understanding that if a property is not in compliance and because of a statute, we will restart the process to maintain it in a state that it is. It will be brought up into compliance, meeting all the rules of the county.
Okay, so it's your understanding that you can go forth and refile again. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's currently what we've done on the
what you've
one
done.
case that it's happened.
Okay. Now, if the county does have to go in because the property is uninhabitable and does have to demolish, you would have to hire somebody from the outside, an outside vendor, to do this. Is that correct?
That's correct, and then we would be looking to collect those fees. That would be additional actual costs to recuperate upon the sale or refinancing of the property, et cetera. So that's correct. When we go to that point, the public health and safety, we're expending public dollars to remove the hazard, and we're adding that to the lien of the property so that we can recover it.
All right. Sometimes properties are vacant, person dies, property, needs to be demolished. What happens then? What's the path then for the county to recoup their money?
That's a different path because that follows under the Florida Building Code for safety as opposed to local ordinance, and they prescribe some methods. In those particular cases, we would hire a vendor to demolish the house, in which case that would be what we would call hard cost lien as opposed to the fines that run, and those are not extinguished to the 10%. They are collected in full before we release any liens associated with it.
All right. So my understanding then is the county attorney's office will follow this case in case there are no heirs or nobody's making claim to the property. It's abandoned for all purposes. Is that correct, or is it kind of forgotten? I'm a little confused about that.
No, we follow those, but in the case of a structure that needs to be demolished under the building code, those properties, our hard lien gets filed, and whether that goes to tax deed, we always end up getting paid on that 100 cents on the dollar, whether that's resold or some of these properties end up going to tax lien.
Yeah,
some kind of foreclosure.
I understand about tax liens.
Yeah.
I do understand that, and whoever the purchaser is must satisfy all outstanding liens, including the county. So you file with the clerk's office then?
Correct.
You do, you follow that?
Yes.
Okay. I just don't want things abandoned, in midstream because.
Well, we do follow the process through the magistrate, the legal due process. We don't automatically, it goes through a hearing before the magistrate makes a ruling, the magistrate creates the order, and then we record that. So the magistrate is the one at the hearing that creates the order.
All right, for the hard cost and, of course, the liens also. So these particular three cases right here, I think I've seen a few in my short time here on the dais. So tell us about these cases, please, if you can.
The second and third one are similar. They're weeds and trash in the yard. The first one was they did not obtain a building permit to do the work. In all those cases, they were given a note on the door type thing by our code enforcement staff saying you didn't do X, Y, and Z. Please come into compliance. At that point, they didn't do it at the timeline, 30, 60 days. We scheduled a hearing before the magistrate. At the hearing, they're given notice to appear. Whether they do or not is up to them based on the evidence presented. We have outside counsel that represents code enforcement. It represents the county at that time, Mr. Toohey. And the magistrate creates the order, says you need to come into compliance in so many days. If you don't, the fine will accrue. They're brought back. The magistrate presents evidence again that it was not in compliance. At that point, the order is done at $100 a day or whatever it is. Once it's completed, then it's taken to the clerk of the court and recorded. The fine continues to run until they come into compliance. And when they come into compliance, they have the opportunity to come in and ask for a fine reduction in accordance with the county ordinance.
All right, so have all of these three come into compliance?
Yes, and the recommended order is attached by the magistrate proving that they have come into compliance.
Okay, so they're at what, 10%? Or is it a negotiated rate, lowering?
Per the ordinance, we are obligated to collect 10% of the outstanding fine or 10% of the assessed value, whichever is less.
All right, at this point, even if they've come into compliance, then you will continue to collect, and you'll pass the paperwork so that it's recorded with the clerk, correct? Once they pay.
Once the order has been issued by the magistrate, we record everything, Commissioner, so it's in public records.
Okay.
It's then upon them to get into compliance. We do not allow them to, we do not release the liens without there first being compliance, us checking that there was compliance, and then the 10% of either the value or the fine.
Okay, I think this conversation is valuable. People don't understand it. They see it here, they may be listening, they may be here. And certainly maybe some of my fellow commissioners not familiar with the whole process. So I wanted just to bring that up this morning. Thank you.
Ms. Woods?
I'm sorry, it was an old light.
Okay.
Attorney Poprowski explained what I was going to say.
Okay, Commissioner Capps?
Yeah, I was wondering about the 10 and 10, the 10% of the value of the house or 10% of the value of the penalties. Does the magistrate have some discretion for those oddball situations where you don't just have an extremely neglectful homeowner, but say somebody's in a really extreme situation, healthcare crisis in their household, and they just don't have the money to fix the property? Does he have some discretion to go easier on them for extreme circumstances?
Prior to the most recent ordinance that was passed, I think it was in June or July of last year, the 10% was a practice, if you will, and the final decision was left to the board. In June, July last year, when that ordinance was amended, that 10% rule became part of the ordinance. So the magistrate would not have discretion to go below 10%. I think we have on the agenda coming up in a couple weeks, one that will say, because it is now in the ordinance and it is a rule as opposed to a practice, if you will, that those ones signed by the magistrate that were in compliance with the ordinance would not have to come to the board because that 10% is no longer a practice, but actually in the ordinance.
So right now, it's kind of a hard 10%. I mean,
Yes.
the magistrate has to assess that. So if you had $100,000 worth of penalties, the person would have to pay $10,000.
Assuming the assessed value was in line, yes.
Yeah, I guess I just feel for that odd situation, and it almost seems to me like it'd be better to leave that in the hands of the magistrate and let him use his good judgment on it rather than us exacting a firm number. I think that would be my preference, but maybe that's a discussion for another day.
We would have to amend the ordinance to allow that. I should let you say that.
Ms. Woods?
Yes, I just wanted to kind of back up. So Sarah Woods, Martin County Attorney, Commissioner Capps, during the code enforcement violation hearing, those sort of extenuating circumstances are taken into account by the special magistrate. So when you do have somebody who's elderly or in a state, or those type of instances are very often taken into consideration before he or she levies the amount of time they have to bring it into compliance. There are situations where the compliance date, they come back in and ask for additional time. So a lot of that flexibility is far before it ever gets to the final determination for the lien. They try to, because again, the overriding goal is to get compliance. So we're trying to work with people to get the compliance. So once you're at the lien stage, you've gone through sometimes years or a year or so of going back and forth if it's more complicated.
There's a tough balance between coming into compliance and giving them time, and the neighbors very upset of the situation. So it is a tough job for the magistrate to balance all those.
Right.
Okay, so let's take up consent 13.
Do you need a motion to approve, or do we just hear those?
No.
We
You don't-
can do it either way. Which is a request for approval of an interlocal agreement between Martin County and the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to develop a complete streets design concept for Southeast Dixie Highway from Cove Road to Jefferson Street. Morning, Mr. Zamas.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. My name is George Zama. I'm the Public Works Deputy Director. This agenda item is to facilitate an interlocal agreement to work with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to identify complete street design concepts for the Dixie Highway roadway improvements project from Cove Road to Jefferson Street. As you're aware, the corridor for the project is quite long, and it's bookended by two different CRAs. The Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council performed a study with the MPO in 2018 for complete streets throughout the county. This project corridor was identified in that study, and staff has applied with the consent to the board to DOT for the MPO list of project priorities, which ultimately turns into a local agency program project. And at the request of DOT, Florida Department of Transportation District 4 Local Agency Programming Office, they requested Martin County to also apply for a Small County Outreach Program grant. So the county did so. The board approved the permission to apply. DOT approved the project in the SCOT program, and it's now in the DOT five-year work plan, and it also is in our CIP. We are programmed for design this year, and Public Works is requesting the assistance of Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to help scope out the project for complete streets. As you may or may not be aware, complete streets concepts encompass safety, quality of life, and economic viability in urban environments. And in this corridor, it is a constricted corridor, and within several different CRAs, and Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council will assist staff in developing renderings for public outreach. Public Works has taken the next steps in outreach and identifying stakeholders in the public. We'd like to get the design scoped out before construction, and as many of you are aware, during the construction of the Dixie Highway through Golden Gate, staff had to make changes during construction, and we'd like to mitigate that and identify all the scope, coordinate with the community, and we feel that Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council can greatly assist us so the community can get a very good visual of what we're presenting for the project. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and also members of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council are here as well to answer questions.
Commissioner Vargas.
Are you making a presentation, Treasure Coast Regional? You're not. Okay. So, this is a new age of minimizing excessive expenditures, and we should capitalize on the chance to do our part and to conserve our taxpayer funds. The Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council is asking Martin County taxpayers to fund another study while they have been unable to deliver on the last research that we needlessly funded. Previous year, 23, they were given the opportunity for a $115,500 study of the Treasure Coast Mall, a private entity that was never delivered to us on time. There were no deliverable dates that were made, And certainly, this should have been delivered by February of last year. Let's not make the same mistakes again. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job in the past for other studies, but let's tap the brakes on unnecessary expenditures. What are we doing with all of these studies? This is an excellent time for us to cut the budget, reduce our spending, and do our part to save our taxpayers' money. I urge my fellow commissioners to help end wasteful choices and to make the bold decisions that they were elected to make. The time is right to lower taxes. I do not agree, and I will not support this additional study.
I have one request to speak form, and that's from Tammy Mazzota.
We meet again, Tammy Mazzota here. So as he has very well explained to everybody, you know, the road that they want to put through, through Golden Gate, sorry. So this, it seems to be something that's been put into the Innovation Hub by the Business Flair about 3 years ago. And this is something that was slid into the Business Hub, Innovation Hub, something that none of the residents or local businesses had a chance to even voice their concerns on. So the bridge is aligned directly with Business Flair's prior recommendations for 3 walkways in the EFC Railway. Page 27 and 29 of the Business Flair report. While the modernization and safety improvements are important, these plans should thoroughly be evaluated for their real impact on surrounding communities, including the potential disruption of local character, access, and business viability. I also urge all the commissioners to please reconsider the approval of this because there was no transparency in here at all. And I would like to say also that last Thursday we had an NAC meeting and Susan Course was there and Ms. Hurd was there for approximately 20 minutes. Neither one of them brought it up in our NAC meeting, but yet it's here today on the agenda. This is something that has been slidden in, no transparency, with no community knowledge to a lot of people or input, and it's just not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Mr. Gordon.
Jim Gordon, Public Works Director. The intent of doing this work is to create some public outreach documents that we can then share at future NAC meetings, because what we want to do is create some options and some visuals that we can bring to future meetings so that we can share it with the community, because it would be a departure from what we have there right now. But because we have several studies, the Complete Street study that went to the MPO, and then we also have a Safe Streets for All action plan, and both of those studies identified this corridor as one that could be improved as far as pedestrian and cyclist safety. So we are, so we'd like to come up with some of those design concepts through the use of this contract or interlocal agreement, so that we can then go out to the public and discuss it with them and to show them some ideas and get input on what they want to see in their community.
Commissioner Hetherington.
Yes. So as a part of this, it actually does go through District 2 and 4, and I wasn't aware of this until it came on the agenda, but I do support it, and I've heard what, Tammy, you said this morning, both in general public comment and what you just pointed out. What I think this is not approving an actual plan or a complete street plan. This particular agenda item is specifically for the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council to go out and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misinterpreting, to go out and to get that community engagement and the public input on the projects that are going forward for pedestrian safety on Dixie Highway so that we can get it right the first time when we design it. And I'll speak as the, District 2 Commissioner. The Dixie Highway project started long before I was in office. And it was in the planning process, and we did make changes at the last minute. And those changes that were made, which really, at the end of the day, it costs more to make those changes at the end of the project. So if we had had the proper input many years ago when that project was being designed and planned, I think that the residents, the community, Dixie Highway would have been better off. We did make those changes at the end. So I do see the return on investment from proactively engaging the stakeholders prior to, and maybe you come back with some of the proposed things that you mentioned were not necessary or warranted, or the residents, they want this or that. That's what I think is the objective, and I think it helps us get in tune with what the residents want, how to properly design, fund, and use the tax dollars to build a responsible project. So for that reason, I will support this because it does take into account all that engagement, and it is not supporting a particular design of a project, because that's the information I'm thinking that the Regional Planning Council is going to bring back to us, so then we can approve a project that is in the best interest of the residents. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner Heatherington, you're correct. And just to reinforce, so, staff identifies these really start out as roadway resurfacing projects, and we identify the infrastructure needs, the basic infrastructure needs, the roadway itself, and safety improvements. And with that, if we do a project, we always get asked, why didn't you add these other amenities? So we want to make sure as we scope out projects that we include additional requests where feasible from the community. And these efforts assist
Or you might
our
be
staff.
removing requests.
Right,
as
correct.
feasible.
That is absolutely correct. And this really is for transparency, so the community can visualize what improvements we are proposing for the project. This corridor has many users, and we want to identify safety and roadway improvements for motorists, pedestrians, bicyclists, transit users. There's also freight hauling in the area for the many shops and businesses. There's many stakeholders, and we want to make sure that all those stakeholders' requests and scope are encapsulated in the project before we proceed with furthering design.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, don't we already pay $70,000 for the privilege of joining with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council? Do we? I think it's 42 cents per
Yeah.
citizen. Yes, we do, don't we?
I don't remember the exact amount,
Okay.
but yes.
Well, I'm pretty close to it. I'm pretty close to that. I've already spoken about the Treasure Coast Mall, which that was never delivered. Is there no other entity to do this study if it's so critical to the area?
Commissioners, we can employ private sector planning agencies to help us with this. It's just historically, we've used the Regional Planning Council for projects like this, given their local knowledge of the area, and it's one of the services they provide as part of their services to all the counties.
Well, the Treasure Coast Mall was farmed out to an entity in Washington, and I believe Massachusetts. They have offices also. So it wasn't done in-house. Again, I laid out what happened, and I had to chase that report and also try and find out what's happened with taxpayers' money. They're asking for another $34,000. It's only money, but it's not our money, and we are charged to be excellent guardians of taxpayers' money, of which I am one of them. I didn't hire them, by the way. They just showed up on their own. So having said that, I think we need to back off for this moment right now and really take a hard look at this And it may be necessary for the betterment and the safety of those that are in that area or that travel that area, and that's fine. But again, we're in a climate that we have to measure every nickel that we spend, every single nickel.
Commissioner Campy.
I'll tell you, I'm not sure where to begin. If there's going to be allegations that I have never heard of about a very legitimate organization in our community, very well regarded throughout the state of Florida, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, having had the benefit of being involved here for many years, having seen their work across dozens and dozens of projects, the huge advantage that we have is that other communities have to use the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council as outsiders. We have the benefit of having them here. If there is an allegation of some kind of malfeasance, I'm interested in hearing about it, not during this agenda item. I'd like to meet with our staff, because when we're up here and people are casting these kind of criticisms and claims, I'm interested in hearing about it. Our staff is tasked with doing all sorts of work to the public speaker's comments. I agree with Commissioner Hetherington. This is exactly what you would hope for, is an opportunity to have in this particular case, I know you have some concerns about some of our staff and departments. This would give you an opportunity to have an outside organization do the things that you have felt and others have said to me feel they are lacking. I'm a steward of taxpayer dollars, and we could get into a back and forth on what dollars are appropriate and what dollars spending taxpayer dollars are not. I plan on doing that in the future. It's easy to get up here and, hey, we're saving the taxpayer dollars. Well, the taxpayers have entrusted us to review these. I have entrusted our staff to do the research to decide if there is a time when we can do the projects in-house with our own internal professional staff, and sometimes there's situations where we would take a project outside. Having the benefit of a long history and tremendously positive experiences with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, I may make a motion to accept and approve staff's request for the dollars used for this particular project. I think in particular in the area that it's being proposed, having some additional outside resources available would be beneficial.
Second.
Mr. Zama or someone, what happens, this is a very important project, and what happens if we don't hire this consultant to help us with design work? Does the project fall apart? Do we advertise for outside consultants to do the work?
Madam Chair, the project will still proceed. It is within the Florida Department of Transportation grant work program. There are milestones we have to achieve, so we do have to proceed with design. Staff would identify scope. We would present to the CRA communities, NAC meetings, as well as our own public involvement meeting for the project. We may not get to all the stakeholders, and a lot of times the stakeholders, we could give presentations, we could talk about the project, we could present plans to the project. A lot of people don't know how to correlate that to a finished product. We feel that Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council can help us with renderings and visuals to present to the public, so it can manifest ideas from the public to present to us, so we can encapsulate the appropriate scope for the project. So it's not necessarily an absolute necessity, but it does help us talking about transparency. It really helps the public understand what we're trying to accomplish for the project.
I have, looks like 2 requests to speak forms. Walter Lloyd is first, followed by Tom Pine.
Thank you, Commissioners. Walter Lloyd. In listening to what's going on and hearing a little bit about it before I came here today, first of all, thank you for making every attempt to manage our dollars and do the best you can for our community. But I would say that transparency, as I heard earlier, is a big concern of ours. We'd like to see exactly how you're doing that. So we would like to see dollar figures probably added to these items on here so that we can understand what the magnitude is. And also, I think it would be a great suggestion to not only depend on just one, but maybe do bids and get several players involved so that there's some sort of pressure on these people that are providing the service to do it at a cost-effective way. Thank you for your concern for our tax dollars, and I hope you all will take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Pine is next.
My name is Tom Pine. On this issue, I'm concerned that it doesn't turn out to be another disaster that's already on Dixie Highway, going south from Indian Street. It looks a lot prettier than it was, but it's a lot more dangerous. The median street, of course, makes it look real pretty, and the turn lanes are gone, so people have to stop in the lane that they're driving to make the turn. That's where the accident starts. Speeds are out of control, nothing new. But we can't have that same death trap continue south on Dixie Highway. Are we going to start teaching crossing in the middle of the road is now the right way to do and not at the corners, like it's still taught in school, I believe? Please don't let this be another disaster like the one on the Dixie Highway that's there now. Thank you.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, I would like to request that we solicit other bids for this project. I've already given you, and it's not a complaint, it's a statement, it's a fact. We never received the mall report on time. I have no idea why it was done, but it was done. That was $115,500 that they requested, and they farmed it out, and it wasn't delivered. So I've already stated the facts. I had to chase that report also. In addition to that, I think that competition is healthy, and I think this is the moment that we depart from our usual modus operandi. That seems to be quite comfortable here with this board. So I would suggest that you not continue along the same venue, and let's get some other bids for this project. You've stated how important it is. I'm speaking to staff. Possibly they can do some work in-house. We need to be able to save money. We're not in this climate anymore. I stated that earlier. We are not there anymore.
Commissioner Capps.
Mr. Zama, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about what a complete street is.
Complete street is a concept through a corridor, primarily urbanized corridors, in which there's constrained right-of-way. Typically, it's a corridor that promotes not only traveling from the motoring public, but walkability and for pedestrians and bicyclists, and it accommodates aesthetic features, including landscape and street lighting, and as well as accommodations, as I mentioned before, for potential transit users. There's freight hauling. These are areas that get pretty, like I said, pretty constrained, and we try to accommodate all the users in an area.
Do we have a couple of examples of a complete street that has been done in Martin County in the past?
We have several. Primarily, they are implemented in the CRAs, like Bridge Road in District 3, Map Road. This area, Port Salerno, does have complete street measures in place. already, but we're looking to add the potential for a multimodal pathway through the area to continue the East Coast Greenway. Other areas include downtown and City of Stewart, Golden Gate, the area we just completed. So there's several throughout the community. Downtown Jensen Beach, those are areas of complete street concepts.
It sounds to me like it's a really complicated thing. You know, you're dealing with an older area of town, constrained roadways, create all kinds of complicated infrastructure issues. You know, I think we need good consultation and advice and input. The Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council has done that for us in the past. And frankly, if Mr. Gorton and Mr. Zama think that they need it, I have a great deal of respect for what they do in the Public Works Department, and that is another big factor in my mind. You know, I think their judgment is very important, and I sit on the board of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, and I've been impressed with the work that they do thus far, and I think they've done good work in the past, so I would be glad to support their efforts.
There is a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Vargas dissenting. And we also have to approve consent 9, 10, and 11, the code enforcement issues.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We will now break for lunch. Want to come back at 1:30? Okay. Thanks.